Recording. All right, it's 7 o'clock. I want to welcome everybody to the February 18th, 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We have on our agenda tonight we have one public hearing. And then we have
Two hearings.
yeah, actually, we have a second public hearing for a use variance, and then we have a new application for a use variance. Robert Bernard, are you here?
Yep.
I just want to make sure that we have a and structure for companies, Kyle?
Yep.
Jim. And Robert Brockway?
I don't see them.
Okay. Well, that would be the new business, but then we do have the two items that we have the applicants there for. We do at this point in the meeting like to have what we call the open forum or privilege of the floor. And this is for anybody who has questions about the zoning board issues not necessarily on the agenda tonight, because there'll be an opportunity for discussion regarding those agenda items. So I'll make a motion that we open the open forum.
Second.
Chairman Gage,
All right,
Vice Chairman Lack,
Aye.
Board Member Boggs,
Right.
Board Member Gangster,
Aye.
Board Member Leone.
Aye.
do we have any Zoom participants?
Two.
Okay.
Yeah. Two people.
Is there anybody in-house here have any comments they would like to make regarding the open forum or the zoning board at this point? Doesn't appear to be so. So for the sake of the open forum, for the Zoom participants, again, we can't receive comments, but they're more than welcome to provide them in writing in regard to anything that may occur at this point in the meeting or later on in the meeting as well. That being said, I'm going to make a motion that we close the open forum.
Second motion.
Chairman Gage,
Aye.
Board Member Leone,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Lack,
Aye.
Board Member Boggs,
Aye.
Board Member Gangster.
Aye.
So our first item of business would be Robert Bernhardt. You just want to give us a quick review of what you were requesting and what we were looking to do for it.
Yep, looking to build a 24 by 36 pole barn behind my house. And looking for a variance on that side property line instead of 40 feet, approximately 30 feet off of that.
Okay. So the requirement is 40 feet. But you're going to be 30 feet, so you're looking for a 10-foot variance.
Yes,
My notes here say that you had changed it to 28 feet
well,
to more of a 12-foot. Or we decided it was safer, I think, because.
yeah, we were talking about that last time, and maybe the 2-foot buffer, the
Yeah, so
Letter that
12
you
foot
sent
rather
out.
than a 10-foot variance.
So it's not going to be any closer than 28 feet.
no, absolutely not.
So then, all right, we'll go with the 12.
Yeah, see, we discussed it last time, decided.
Yeah, with that little buffer, yeah, thanks for remembering that.
Mhm.
And we addressed seeker in the last medium, so that shouldn't be a consideration. Any questions, board members, regarding this?
Secret list of this.
Okay. All right, you can be seated.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion that we open the public hearing regarding this variance request.
Second.
Chairman Gage.
Aye.
Board Member Boggs.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Black.
Aye.
Board Member Gangster.
Aye.
Board Member Leoni.
Aye.
Is there anybody here that has an interest or a comment regarding this particular variance request?
I do.
Okay, can you give us your name?
My name is David Mazzone. I'm here in regards of Sharon Menzies. She's not here right now. She may be here, but I also live at that address, right in front of Robert.
Okay,
So I don't know where he plans on putting it.
okay,
Actually, that's what we, kind of reason I'm here is where do you plan on putting this barn?
Behind my house, you can't, you wouldn't even see it from your
Oh,
house.
so it's on the
You
other,
look
way
at
on the
the
other
map
side.
over
Okay,
here.
Behind my house.
Gotcha.
Yeah, see, here. Here's the map. This is you down here.
Yeah.
Here's my driveway, there's my house.
Oh, so you're putting it back there, yeah. I have no problem with that.
Oh, there you go.
No problem at all. You go ahead.
So you were speaking for the other person?
Yeah, that's, she just basically wanted to know where he's putting it. That's all. And where he's putting it there, I have no problem with. Nor interest.
Yeah, if you look at, you should have a map in your notebook there in the bottom right-hand corner on the map.
That would be the other neighbor. Not us.
okay,
So if this ever happens again, there's any way of finding this out before I even come here?
Yeah, everything, so if you go on the town website, there's an agenda posted and all the maps are right in the agenda.
I looked on there earlier this week. I didn't see anything, but. Okay,
Okay.
I'll do that. All right, thank you.
all right, good, thank you. Is there anybody else here interested in speaking on this particular application? Again, that being said, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing regarding this matter.
Second.
Okay. Chairman Gage.
Aye.
Board Member Gangster.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Black.
Aye.
Board Member Boggs.
Aye.
Board Member Leoni.
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you.
We need findings.
Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to run through the factors considered regarding this variance application. And the first, whether undesirable changes would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No.
No. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance.
I think we covered that last time. Really couldn't move from where he's putting.
Whether the requested variance is substantial.
Not under our definition.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created
Yes.
by virtue of the placement. So at this time, we would just need a motion for the variance request.
I'll make a motion to grant to Robert Bernhardt of 244 Barton Hill Road. SBL number 81.00-2-1.1. An east side yard setback variance of 12 feet to construct a 24 by 36 single-story detached garage. Per the findings of section 8.62. Provided a building permit be obtained within 6 months and all other aspects of the ordinance be followed.
Second motion.
Board Member Gangster,
Aye.
Board Member Leoni,
Aye.
Chairman Gage,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Lack.
Aye.
Board Member Boggs.
Aye.
You're all set. You'll need to see Chris.
Chris, yep.
Yeah,
Okay, super. Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Kyle, you're here.
Yes.
Had you had a chance to speak to the town attorney?
No,
Okay,
my understanding was that you were gonna speak with the town attorney and then you or Chris was gonna get back to me.
okay, well, I did speak to her, but I thought, and I mentioned to Chris, because I thought he would communicate with you in that regard.
He did not.
Okay. The concern is the criteria for a use variance are very specific regarding what is needed. And I also was a little reluctant to interact with you because I'm one of the decision makers, so just in an effort to kind of keep that separation. The thought was that the criteria that you need to meet, there's specific items that have to be addressed in a particular matter. And I'm not sure that what you've provided so far has met that yet. So the recommendation is that you would seek somebody who is knowledgeable in land use, and that they can help you providing the information that we would need to approve a use variance.
Understood. I think that was probably the objective in terms of the way we left it the last meeting in terms of who was communicating with who. I would have been happy to provide that to the town attorney had she reached out to me. And I did follow up several times via email with Chris and with Lindsay. So, you know, as I alluded to at the previous meeting, this is contingent upon, the transaction is contingent upon our ability to use the property as we need to.
Right.
So, you know, there's timelines involved that we are now kicking out to another month. And I feel that if I was asked to communicate this information, I would have done so prior to this meeting in time for you to have reviewed it. And I'm not sure what you mean in terms of an expert on land use. I don't work for ING Civil or structured work companies. I am a consultant in terms of land use and getting these approvals.
Okay, but I mean, one of the conditions being, the first being cannot realize a reasonable return substantial as shown by, and you have to show that by competent financial evidence.
I believe at the last, well, was it this meeting or was it the planning board where the controversial community center came up?
Planning board.
Planning board. So at that meeting, which is I'll remind you also that the reason I came to the zoning board in the first place is because the town attorney had suggested that I go through this route.
Correct,
But at that meeting, so the property is zoned R2. So I
Right.
asked Chris what the minimum lot size in the town of Dwingsburg for R2 zoning district is. I believe he said 2.5 acres.
2.2 acres, yeah.
So, I mean, I can do the math on my phone real quick if you need me to. But it comes out to roughly like, I think, just under 30 lots. Well, a roadway to sustain 30 lots at $1,100 a linear foot to install just a roadway, I think indicates that it's not financially feasible, because the property's on the market for, I think the asking price when we put it under contract was $199,000. And I can verify that.
Okay.
You did mention that at the previous.
That's correct, and I understood that, but again, in my conversation with the town attorney, because my initial inquiry to her was, what should we as the zoning board see as information that would be addressing the 4 criteria for the use variance?
Which were the criteria that you just read off before that previous gentleman was, you took a motion, right?
Well,
Those are-
No,
that's
that's
just
for,
findings,
Okay.
yeah.
And that wasn't a use variance, that was an
I
area
understand
variance.
that. What are the 4 criteria?
Okay. Well, here, I'll let you,
Thank you. So reasonable return, I think I just demonstrated that, and I can gladly provide quote from a home builder in terms of $1,100 a linear foot. Or the gentleman who works for the company that's the applicant who builds roadways could probably verify that. Alleged hardship is unique and does not apply to substantial portion of district or neighborhood. Well, I mean, I think that it's unique in the sense that it's a property that's currently on the market, being marketed for sale. It was approved previously for a non-residential use in terms of the solar field, which demonstrates that, you know, even though it is underlying R2 zoning, I think the argument can be made that there's not a need for R2, you know, additional residential uses there on an 82-acre parcel.
right,
Requested variance will not alter the essential neighborhood or character of the neighborhood. You know, I also promised the board at the previous meeting that I would reach out to the neighbors. I was never confirmed that I was actually going forward this evening, so I hand delivered letters to several neighbors over the weekend, of which I heard from 2. Not sure if either of you gentlemen are one of the 2. I spoke to one earlier this afternoon, in fact. And the alleged hardship has not been self-created. I guess I would need a clear definition of what that means, but.
right, and this is where somebody that who is knowledgeable in land use and especially use variances can provide you with the right, you know, guidance, or, I mean, they could even probably come up with, you know, say the wording that would address those particular criteria. Only, you know, my concern is that we could tell you what you need to do, but really the onus is on you for us to show how you're meeting the use criteria.
I understand that, but what's frustrating is that I was not communicated with, and I tried several times. And I understand from your perspective, if you're a decision maker, you don't want to talk directly to me. But whether it was Chris or the town attorney, somebody should have called me or sent me an email.
Fair enough. I mean, again, just having what the criteria for the use variance, I was not aware that you didn't even have that at your disposal. Because then you can look at it and say, well, and talk to somebody and say, well, how do I meet these particular?
I understand that, but I felt that the onus was based upon the previous meeting, the onus was that you were gonna speak with the town attorney and someone was gonna get back to me in terms of providing what I need to provide to you.
Okay, fair enough, okay.
You know, we're not trying to hide anything. I want to give you everything that I need to give you. It's just, you know, we're kicking this out another month now.
Okay,
And we're gonna have to go through the public hearing process again as well, right?
well, we
This isn't
can,
even technically a public hearing at this point.
no, but we did set a public hearing the thought was that we could open the public hearing, but probably not close it. Because it doesn't sound like you're, at this point, have the information that we're gonna need to make a decision. But we can open the public hearing, we could field, comments, concerns, but probably extend the public hearing till such time, because again, you need to address those criteria that you do.
So you need something formal in writing addressing these points?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if,
Nelson,
Really, it's-
that paper I handed you earlier, that with that email too, was talking about changing the zoning.
well, that's,
I don't know if that, it was,
yeah,
I want to make sure you got it.
That's,
no, actually, this is from, the Schenectady County Planner. It says, I have a question on the use variance for the proposed, contractor yard on Route 7. It would seem to me that you would have to amend the zoning to define, and permit contractor yards. There's a definition for outside storage of material in zoning, but it isn't listed in any, of the zones here in the town of Duanesburg, except for, C2, which I think is a light industrial.
Mhm.
And then, okay. The future storage building wouldn't seem to be permitted either, which adds a use, in R2, it isn't. And again, that's kind of what we're, toiling with as we speak. Only in C2, they're the only ones that allow for that type of storage.
Right, but I thought we went through the exercise at the previous meeting in terms of, if you change the zoning, if I went for a zone change. That sort of eliminates the board's ability for any future uses on the site. I mean, that, as we kind of talked about the last time. The use that we're asking for the variance for is specific to us and our use. So in the future, if it was a zone change. The board would have no control over that specific variance, if you will.
Well,
Which is a fundamental change to the zoning district.
right, and then actually you would need a variance. Because the zone change, if it were changed to a zoning that would allow for, the kind of activity that you're looking to conduct in the R2, which is permissible in C2.
I understand that, but
So-
spot zoning in New York State is not permitted, and everything around is still zoned R
what
two.
we're discussing
Yeah.
isn't changing the zoning, would be adding an amendment to R2 that would allow.
That would allow, yeah, it wouldn't be spot
Yeah.
zoning, it would be an actual
Yeah,
change of the way.
Which,
What
anything,
permitted
that's a
uses
much
is-
larger
Yeah.
act that,
Yeah.
the board would be taking.
And I'm not even sure, according to the Schenectady planner, was even certain that it's allowed in C2. I think what the Schenectady planner was kind of seeing is, he is not sure that the use was foreseen anywhere in the zoning law, and therefore he
Well-
wanted the amendment.
Excuse me.
But
let me look at C2 and just see,
I think we went through that exercise last month. It was unclear.
C2, okay. Uses permitted by special use permit. And it lists storage facility. And that's the kind of, that would cover you if that were listed in R2 via a special use permit. But it is,
Understood, but that would be a special use permit, not a use variance. I mean, that was,
Right.
keep in mind, I initially applied for a special use permit because that's what Chris had suggested. that I
yeah, well,
apply for.
he wasn't, yeah, I think he was not as aware of what was permitted and what not.
I mean, if we could find some land in C2 zoning districts, I'm sure we would focus on that, but, again, it's the fact that the property is openly available on the marketplace and it was previously approved for the solar use, which,
Right.
I understand they're not apples to apples in terms of uses, but in terms of, changing the character of the neighborhood and impact to surrounding neighbors, I consider that far more of a disturbance as compared to what we're proposing.
Yeah,
So Nelson, I think the path that you're suggesting is that we open the forum. Or we
Open the hearing.
The
Yeah.
hearing, sorry, today,
yeah,
ask for written documentation that meets the criterion. And then close the hearing at the next meeting, which would then. You would, at which point you would either be approved or not.
Understood. How does the like process work in terms of having a public, like, does the like if somebody wanted to submit something in writing over the next 4-week period between now and the next meeting, like is the public hearing just open that whole time?
yeah.
I don't have an issue with that, but it seems onerous as compared to if I was sitting here and you opened it and then we closed it.
I did mail out letters to the residents,
Right.
so they do.
Yeah. Right, but for, again, the public hearing is to allow for comment regarding a variance application. Anyway. It seems at this point, again, and I apologize for you not having gotten the word that, again, a use variance has specific criteria.
So do I have the board's permission to reach out directly to the town attorney?
To be honest, I thought that's what had already occurred, but apparently it had not.
No, it hasn't.
Okay, and even because in my conversation with her, that's what she recommended, is that you seek, legal guidance from other than the town attorney, because he kind of is representing the town.
I understand
You
that,
know,
but you have
perspective.
I mean, do you agree that like at the last meeting, the ball seemed like it was kind of in your court to get back to me and tell me what you needed from me?
Yes, but one thing she did point out to me, and in the discussion, is that it can't be solely for me to tell you what you need to do. It's really, you need to have somebody showing you, in order for you to meet this criteria, this is what you have to have, and they can provide the assistance to you to make that
I
available.
understand
to
all
us.
of that. I understand that the criteria, that no point at the last meeting did you say to me, what you owe me is these 4 criteria being satisfied.
And to be honest, I was probably not as, I was not as aware of that until the town attorney kind of in the discussion I had with her, made me aware of the fact that it shouldn't be solely based on what we tell you. You should be, again, having somebody, a separate party, providing that information to you. So,
Okay.
only because, and that's what I had, I believe, mentioned, is why I reached out to her, so that we would know what we need to see and what it would look like, so that we would feel comfortable approving a use variance.
Understood. I mean, I will also say that typically, like, surprised that she doesn't actually attend these meetings.
Well, she does if we feel we need her. But again, yeah,
Okay. All right.
I mean, well, here's something, this is an example of guidance for a use variance.
Can I keep this?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this would be, say, in your application, back here's the other page to it. This is also from New York.
Okay. So, are you opening the public hearing?
We will, yeah.
Well, I move that we open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Vice Chairman Lack.
Aye.
Board Member Boggs.
Aye.
Chairman Gage.
I,
Board Member Gangster.
Aye.
Board Member Leoni.
So, and just to refresh, this is to basically on an R2 zone property, have like storage of equipment. I mean, it's construction equipment for.
Correct. Yep.
Both vehicles and non-vehicle equipment.
By vehicle, you mean heavy equipment, yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's why we couldn't strictly fit it into the garage. The
Right.
whole discussion.
Right.
Yeah,
If you want, Lindsay, do you want to put up the site plan
Yeah.
or propose site plan? Any other questions, right?
I don't think so. Have a
Okay.
seat. And initially, this was, you were gonna. Of this, I think it's an 81 acre parcel, and you were gonna use about 12 acres.
Correct, yep, yep.
Okay,
Yeah, the storage area, oh, I'm sorry. The storage area for the, where we're clear for the storage of the equipment is about 10 acres and then. We're not looking to build a building at this time, but Chris suggested putting it on there and then when we take it into a driveway, we just kind of break 12 acres out to be safe.
okay.
Would that be gated at the roadway?
It would be gated at the roadway and then the trees sort of act as like a natural fencing, obviously around the site. But yes, it would definitely be gated at the roadway. Current site is gated, secured and similar. There's trees and there's topography that sort of.
Yeah, and it's part of the review for the use variance, we have the opportunity to provide conditions. Because it won't, again, the use variance will cover any aspect of this.
Of course, there's still a site plan. He's still before the planning board and is gonna need a site plan, right? Or did they reject the whole site plan?
It didn't qualify for special use. Again, this is
Right, no,
why,
I thought that the planning board was waiting to see if it got the special use permit. before they-
So
on the site.
not for the,
variance, use variance.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, my understanding, which apparently could be wrong, was that, initially we applied for the special use permit. At the planning board meeting, Teresa went through the exercise kind of. And it was determined between the planning board, Teresa and Chris that variance was a more appropriate.
Okay, so it won't need the site plan approval from them.
No, because he did say that we'll have to, it will. I guess I'm not totally clear on whether or not it will be a formal planning board action, but he said the planning board will review in terms of, final site plan, SWIP, et cetera, et cetera. So.
yeah, I'll have to find out about that. But at this point, the use variance is the one thing that, again, we review,
Right.
but conditions would be, we could set conditions for that as part of the application.
Yep, understood.
So, and again, in the town of Duanesburg, and this is for the other participants here, this type of storage facility, I guess, as close as to what this particular activity is looking to be, is only allowed in C2, which is, again, the manufacturing and light industrial. And what was that? So is anybody here interested in making a comment or have any questions regarding this application? And your name, sir?
My name is Jeff Hoffman, part of the Hoffman Trust. We talked to the phone earlier today.
Nice to meet you.
Is the whole entire property gonna be rezoned for commercial? Or is it just the portion that they're proposing the storage yard on?
Well, no, at this point, we're only addressing a use variance.
Okay, that was the whole entire property, all 81 acres.
Well, I mean, we can condition it on the 12 acres that he's asked for.
And I noticed it said storage facility. We've got multiple storage facilities in town with the guiding lights that everyone sees at night.
Well, That's not what he means by a storage, right?
You mean the commercial storage?
Yes,
buildings?
that everyone can see that's, you know, all night long, that you can see the
Self,
posting
you
lights.
mean like self-storage, like
Yes.
mini storage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And then the
something
eight
you're,
hundred.
That's not what he's contemplating
You're
here.
talking about the garages.
We're trying to put a pole barn up, machine shop basically to work on our equipment in the winter time. 9 months out of the year, all of our stuff is out on jobs. Pretty much comes home in the winter time, we service everything, park it there until everything fires back up in the spring.
So
So
is that the shop's gonna be on 10 acres or just the?
he's got the shop closer to the road, that's like the shop.
Okay.
And then
It's just.
the rest of the area is just a gravel yard to, you know, we have excavators, bulldozers, heavy equipment, that kind of stuff. And forming materials, you know, basic construction, heavy highway stuff. Right now, we're on like a 3 or 4 acre parcel in the city of Watervliet. We've kind of outgrown it and just looking to. You know, a lot of our workforce is out this way, so we're trying to be more centralized to where everyone is and have a little more room to. Adequately store things, I guess, so.
Yeah, they're looking for a place to store their own equipment, not open a commercial storage
No, no.
facility where other people would be.
There won't be any actual business performed here. This is me and one other guy in the wintertime, service equipment.
Mhm.
And then in the summer, no one's there except for if a lowboy has to come and move a piece of equipment, but generally. Everything and then some is out on job sites, so it's.
It doesn't make money for anyone sitting in the yard, right?
Right.
And the remainder of the parcel remains undeveloped.
That's the plan, yeah. It's just. Guys will like the hunting land, I think, but you know,
it's funny, because ironically, something that came up within the village at Delanson is called a laydown yard.
Yep.
Which sounds kind of like.
Very
when I saw
similar,
this,
right?
it
Very
was
similar.
very much like the operation that you're looking to,
You talk about the Sunbelt facility?
I think that was one of them, and then and one of them I think is temporary, and then the other, and then I think one is a more permanent, when I talked to Chris and I asked him about this.
Yeah. Yeah, very similar.
Okay,
I don't know if that addressed your point.
It did.
Okay.
yeah, the zoning board deals with two different things, one we call an area variance. Similar to what the gentleman that was gonna construct a pole barn garage, it was closer to a property line, so that's kind of an area adjustment. This is a use variance where and the different zonings within the town of Duanesburg allow certain uses. And when you're requesting to conduct an activity, which is not specifically allowed, then this is where the use variance comes into play. But the criteria is a lot, they have to be met, almost to the letter. And there's 4 criteria that all have to be met, so. And that's what we're looking at here.
and is that, just so I'm clear, is that the preferred path for you guys, is not to rezone it, but to do the variance?
Well,
Cause you're talking about the C2,
If there was an amendment, that would have to go through the planning board. and
Or
it would take-
No,
that's
it actually
town board.
goes
That would be a
town
town board
board.
decision, that would be out of our hands.
Yeah, you don't.
We can rule in the end on
Don't
the
ever-
special
you don't
use
ever-
variance, we cannot rule on the
Just not clear
rezone,
on
that's
that'll
a
take
political.
Right, this kind of makes sense, you know, to seek an approval for this. And again, our concern is that we need to make sure that all the criteria are met. Because we don't want to set a precedent, and generally use variances are harder to get than, again, somebody wants to move a particular building. An area variance is usually what we deal with on a more frequent basis. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Provided we have all the information we need in a written form.
Mhm.
At next meeting, you should be able to resolve the.
Understood. Okay. And that's the 18th, Lindsay?
Yes,
Yes, it'll be,
yeah,
gonna be like warm by the time I'm done coming.
I hope so. Well, I mean, I don't mean it like that, but I hope it's. Sorry. I'm done with the snow and the cold.
Yeah.
We always get one good storm in March. It's the way of life. There's at least one good storm in March.
Okay,
so,
so I can have my marching orders, in terms of getting, so you want me to submit that through Chris or directly to Teresa?
what's that, the inform,
Or Lindsay, I'm sorry, yeah,
Lindsay,
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and if you had somebody that you could reach out to and say, this is what I'm looking to do, say in the town of Waynesburg. How do I meet these,
Mhm.
4 criteria? And if they should be able to provide you, this is how you can do it
Mhm.
and make it work. So,
And submit that to Lindsay.
yeah, just as soon as you get it, because it would be nice for us to maybe look at it or have sense of it. So there, if there's something that we feel we also need, it can be done prior to.
It'll get back to me this time.
Yeah, so we don't have
We
to
don't do this again.
Okay,
Yes,
fair enough,
oh,
okay.
all right, and we still have, Zoom participants?
Yes, two.
Okay, so, and Zoom participants, if they're interested in this particular application, they can provide in writing any of their comments or concerns.
Yes, sorry.
Okay,
I'm just over here writing.
I just wanted, so that it's stated, for the record, again.
Yeah, they
have-
can email me or call me or write a letter if they want.
Yeah.
Need some sort of motion to hold it over till March, or by not closing it, is it open till March?
Well,
No, why don't we
it'll
leave it
be
open?
right?
Right, yeah,
Okay, yeah. So. All right, I'll make a motion that we extend the public hearing for this particular use variance application.
so March 18th, 7 P.M.
Yes,
Well, hold on, just a question, does this trigger another notification?
no, it'll be
Oh,
the
okay.
same.
No, it's the same notification,
Oh,
it's the
okay.
same hearing that we started tonight,
Okay.
it's still open.
Yeah.
Hearings are open till we say they're not.
I'll.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, well,
Chairman Gage, Vice Chairman Lack,
Aye.
Board Member Fox,
Aye.
Board Member Gamester,
Aye.
Board Member Leone.
That's why we made a motion to keep it open rather than saying it stays open.
Right. Yeah, just to make it.
Right.
Yeah, we're good, right? Okay.
yes,
Okay.
and you can reach out to Chris and I'll make sure that they get your attention because again, I was reluctant to go back to you just because I'm kind of on the other side of the aisle here and,
I hear you. Lindsay knows how persistent I can be, don't worry.
that's fine. And again,
I'm fine with it.
if you get, your ducks in a row, then
Okay,
hopefully see what we can do for this.
okay, excellent, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
It's me, I'm right.
Well, it is.
Well, fits the one definition in C two.
Well, again, and that's
Yeah.
been the concern is that either things are, ill-defined or undefined, and then you don't know how you can address these. Like I say, the description for the laydown yard sounds very much, like what they're
They need
doing.
to zone somewhere, yeah.
yeah. So in my conversation with, I think I included everybody in the email. And again, what the concern was is that, again, us telling him what he should be doing and how to do it is probably not the better way to go. He should independently have somebody provide that information. So that if there's a concern about if we're not telling everything that he needs to know, which especially with a use variance, I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, and usually these are,
Theoretically, he knows what he applied for.
Exactly, but-
It shouldn't be for us to tell him what he needs to prove.
Right.
He knows the application he made. He is the independent acting for the thing.
well, he's a representative, but he
Right.
needs to,
Yeah.
you know, and again, just. She was kind of clear on,
Yeah.
how you could do that, you know, even, I guess, having an appraiser, you know, provide, information, you know, saying that it's unsuitable for any other use, offered for sale, there were, you know, no buyers kind of thing. They could articulate this in a way that meets, especially that first criteria that had to do with financial aspects.
Was the one with the.
The LP transfer station got tied themselves into knots trying to prove that way back when.
Oh, yeah, well, that was,
But that was the big sticking point there.
yeah, well, but there were also other.
There were others, but
Yeah.
that was where. It came down, is they had trouble in the end proving. that
Well-
First criteria.
Well, there was that and there were other aspects of the activity. You know, it was gonna be again, a 24/7. There was also the impact of, you know, having an impact on the character of the neighborhood, which is, you know, a lot more significant in that regard than there is for this particular thing, or at least as far as we can see it. So.
So Mr. Brockway back here.
Yeah, which is also another use variance, so.
Okay.
I mean, we'll least,
For storage,
Yeah, better.
for storage of his materials for dispensing, oh, good.
So it's the same thing?
Yes.
So it sounds like the lay down here.
Very similar.
yeah,
He
It's
was
in
gonna
business,
come
it's
last
very
month,
true.
but he couldn't come.
right,
He went to the planning board,
It
but
seems the town board will need to address.
Yeah, like I said, I looking at the definition of storage facility, I don't think it really fits in that either.
no, but again,
The
and we
lay
don't,
down yard is the closest.
right, which I didn't know that much about. But prior to, you know, starting doing some of this research.
Yes, they were.
But again, we have to be careful too about how we're interpreting this. Because the use variances are very specific, so.
When these two cases are said and done, we might want to recommend to the town board that they consider this sort of activity for inclusion in one or more zones
Yeah,
by special use or other ones.
well,
Yeah, that's,
yeah,
it just seems like a somewhat uncontemplated use, and as I said, we make recommendations to the town board for things they should consider, and that's something they should probably consider.
yeah,
One would think that they'll want to put limits on size. That, you know. Like 100-acre farm or something. Might not want the whole thing.
Well-
It's a storage facility.
yeah. But again, how do they, again, it makes me want to go back to the county planners' comments and see what their, you know, definitions of storage and storage facility.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I said, when I read the thing we got from the county planner, my
I
impression
just
is
got
he
this,
doesn't
too.
think it's under any of our definitions.
And it isn't, and that's again where, but again, I think, you know, that there was a caution about us, you know, stretching up the
Right.
definitions, because
Right,
again, we don't
right.
wanna set a precedent.
Right.
Anyway. Past that.
This
This is,
village.
I guess apparently is something that the village of Delanton is contemplating. But that particular definition seems to be very much aligned with what this particular activity that's being requested is similar to.
It's identical.
All right.
Shall we look at the minutes?
Yeah, just a couple of things, I guess with Karen Houlihan with the storage container. We
Yeah.
changed there, we felt there was a condition that it was not a temporary thing, that it was.
It was being.
Right, it was being used in
structure.
it was a structure being used in
Right.
agricultural production and we defined it as such. And
Right.
said that took precedence over the
Right.
provision under which Chris had originally denied it.
Which negated the need for a variance consideration, unless, again, if it's gotta be 200 feet from
Right. It's
Which
assured everyone
apparently
that it
had
was, yes.
ample acreage to accommodate that. The other thing is that the Verizon tower is still in the works, except for that they haven't been able to conduct that balloon test because of the weather. So, and I think it's gonna happen on the 24th. Yeah, so they need the results to that, then they come back to us for a use variance. But again, that use variance has different, you know, criteria, which probably are easier to meet. And of course, they already came with, you know, how we're gonna meet that criteria to the meeting. So.
It doesn't seem to be any addressing in there as far as lighting is concerned. You know, in case, you know, because,
Oh, yeah.
you know. If they,
Put up,
if they wanna have it as some sort of evening type, you know, when they return the equipment, whatever, you know.
or even security lighting, which is something.
Security
How much
lighting
do we know
or, you know,
about?
working lighting.
What they,
Yeah, I thought that was a good question that Jeff Hoffman had thought about afterwards, whether this 10 acres of storage would have any kind of lighting.
yeah, because if they have lights on 24/7. Back in the woods, that might be an issue.
Well, again, that's where, what kind of impact it has on the character or the condition of the neighborhood may come into play. Of course, you know, all of us have lights on our homes,
Yeah.
so
I
but
mean, it all, I think it would all, you know, whether we're talking about like stadium lights or just, you know, some
yeah.
street lamps or something.
But if that is like 10 acres of parking lot with street lamps, then, you know, I mean, that's a fair amount of light,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah, actually, the recommendation about how to, I don't know, expand on that definition of storage or a laydown yard. Because I noticed that, what was it, the gentleman that's gotta do the egg production out, and then the town has come up with,
Yeah.
you know, conditions with that fairly quick, so I don't know if that would be a help or
Well, we can put whatever conditions we feel are appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again,
Well, that was one where the town got involved to
yeah,
make it more difficult for him
well, we
to
don't,
run his egg farm. Or,
Yeah.
or so it seemed.
yeah, or there were conditions that were not, would not be addressed had they not done so.
Yeah.
So, anyway. But again, we just need to focus on the core criteria of the use variance, which are, again, have to be met. Again, the area variance, you know, there's the criteria that we deal with. There's not an inherent, a requirement that all four or all of those be adhered to. If we feel that the predominant number of, you know, things are adhered to, then we can feel comfortable approving it.
Well, then we may need a better definition of whether it's self-created.
Well, that is, that's,
I think that's gonna be his biggest challenge.
Well,
but
actually, if what we have is a use that is actually not contemplated anywhere in the zoning law, and I don't see it,
all
I
right,
don't read it in the definition, even under C2.
all right,
Is
here,
it really, I just want to do this, you're not giving me anywhere in the town to do it.
well, that, or, and again, here, they even make reference that the use variance, or the purchase of that property
Well,
being
that's,
predicated on
right,
the use variance, that it does address that, so
Yeah.
it's not all that you know, unique
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
regard, so. Anyway, they know what they need to do, and then we'll see how that is presented, and if we're comfortable with it, and then we'll take it from there.
that open. Looks like the town of Clay recommendation.
You're right, but other,
Yeah.
again, other municipalities, some of their,
Everything's better defined.
yes. But- All right, so we were looking at the minutes. Section 3 permitted. I think it was section 5, it had to do with that temporary thing, and we thought that.
We should overrule section 5 with section 3.
Yes, so we were comfortable there.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything in there that. Yeah, it says, in trying to justify the, use of this, is yielding a reasonable return, the applicant must prove that he or she cannot realize a reasonable return from each of the uses permitted in the zoning district. So if we look at what is permitted in R2, so permitted uses, agricultural, bed and breakfast, dwelling, single family, equine facility, family daycare home, private garage, group, family daycare home, public utility use, roadside stand, or a stable. And again, this is where
Public utility use?
yeah, I think that's where the solar is allowed or comes into play because of that. But there's not anything even close to, again, the activity that this gentleman's looking to.
Unless you want to argue that tractors and steamrollers are really just kinds of horses.
Well,
No, we tried to fit it into the private garage use and which was a close, which was a closer,
and again, we have to be careful about not doing that.
Yes.
We can't make the case for the applicant. That's
Mhm.
their job. So.
commercial cemetery, yes, you could open a commercial service.
But that's,
Especially to have some sort of professional, like an appraiser or something, to come up with actual figures. As far as when he was talking about the 80 lots or whatever, however many lots he said was gonna be in there.
Yeah.
Plus the road and $1,100 for a foot or something, whatever,
that's what Teresa said.
Yeah.
And that's why she recommended that maybe he should seek somebody more knowledgeable about, again, meeting these criteria, so.
And that would be just one of the potential uses of the land, so we would need to hear more than.
Well, again, it talks about just the permitted uses.
Yeah.
That if you can't realize a reasonable return, of course. Because it's not even, anything close is even listed there,
Yeah,
so.
and that's weird, because they're not seeking a return on their investment here.
Well, if you, unless you define the purchase of the property, and the return being that you have the use to, store the equipment there.
Right.
Again, this is where somebody else needs to
Yeah.
articulate that.
Yeah, and there just needs to be an argument made in writing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was reasonable.
From somebody that's accredited to do that.
yes, and not us too, because again, if we were to, take liberties and say, oh, well, that sounds like a private garage. Well, what if there are people that found, our approval objectionable? They could basically, file, I don't know, an Article 78 or something, and we would have to explain ourselves, so.
Or use it as a precedent for something else
That we would not want to have to,
Right.
reproduce, so yes, so it's better that we be more careful than not. All right, Anything in the minutes of concern?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Second the motion.
Okay. Board Member Box,
Aye.
Board Member Leoni,
Aye.
Chairman Gage,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Lack,
Aye.
Board Member Gangster.
Aye.
Anything else? If not, we can.
Okay.
And sometimes you have other.
No, I think I
It is
mentioned
too.
about, again, the Verizon, with the balloon test, we won't see.
Hear from them eventually.
Yeah, yeah. But again, that, what is that, the Rosenberg thing, I guess it makes it a lot easier for us to. And again, they already provided what we're asking this gentleman to do.
We have, the motion to grant a variance. Template. Somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's similar.
It's in the front of your binder.
Well, no, but the pink one is just, so the pink one has.
Here,
The motion to grant a business. A home business variant
no, that's, right, no, here,
and. On a pre-existing undersized lot.
Oh, okay.
Well, only if applicable.
Well, I guess you could.
Yeah, no, yes, here. Yeah, I guess this is what you're.
or do you already have that?
You have that, you probably have that. Where-
I don't, to be honest, I don't know that there is one specific for, a
We
use.
usually don't have
variance.
one for the use variance.
Yeah,
No, not for the use variance. No, this is what I'm talking about. I don't have any of these in my folder.
I'll send you some.
So, or
Look,
maybe
you
Lindsay can
keep
just.
that. Yeah, because I've got a bunch of these.
But I
as
suppose
PDFs, so-
if you wanna give one to Lindsay, to just put in the front of everybody's binder with the other ones.
If you just leave it in the front of yours, I'll know for
Yeah.
next time.
And I said, I kind of. freewheeling.
Whatever paper you want me to.
This one. I know.
Oh, here's this. I do some that's in the pocket of,
Yeah, okay. Because I made up a bunch.
yeah, okay.
I mean, I remember we went through that and then I never got any.
I seem to have some stuck in the front pocket of the binder rather than in a,
Yeah. What I have there is suggested public hearing.
well, go behind that.
No, I just got a million of these things and behind it is.
Oh, so then I have a motion variance, I have motion variance format ones behind that.
The thinking also is that if you have the opportunity, you can make these out ahead of time,
Yeah.
and that way, you know,
It's easier if
It's
you have
just
the phone
easier.
to make them out on.
yes.
Yep, no,
For the years,
Well, I
I
know,
know
but
it
you're
is
right,
exciting,
you
so I
can-
just
and that's-
do it,
Yeah,
you know? That's- So if there's nothing further, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh. All right, Vice Chairman Lack,
Aye.
Board Member Gangster,
Aye.
Chairman Gage, Board Member Box,
all right.
Board Member Leoni.
Aye.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So kind of blue and, we could down for, you know,
Oh, we can discuss the paint choices.
we totally adjourn, you know, but.
Yeah.
is Chris around these days, Lindsay?
The dark page.
Yeah, he's just